Roman Arkadyevich Abramovich is a Russian oligarch and politician. He is the former owner of Chelsea, a Premier League football club in London, England, and is the primary owner of the private investment company Millhouse LLC. He has Russian, Israeli, and Portuguese citizenship. He was formerly governor of Chukotka Autonomous Okrug from 2000 to 2008. According to Forbes, Abramovich's net worth was $14.5 billion in 2021, making him the second richest person in Israel, the 11th richest in Russia and the richest person in Portugal. Abramovich enriched himself in the years following the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, obtaining Russian state-owned assets at prices far below market value in Russia's controversial loans for shares privatization program. Abramovich is considered to have a good relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin, an allegation Abramovich denied. Early life. Roman Arkadyevich Abramovich was born on October 24, 1966 in Saratov, Russian SFSR, Soviet Union. His family was of Jewish descent and died when he was young. His mother, Irina, was a music teacher who died when Abramovich was 1 year old. His father, Aaron Abramovich Libovuk, worked in the Economic Council of the Komi ASSR, and passed away when he was 3. Roman's maternal grandparents were Vasily Mikhailenko and Fana Borisovna Grudman, both born in Ukraine. It was to Saratov in the early days of World War II that Roman's maternal grandmother fled from Ukraine. Irina was then 3 years old. Roman's paternal grandparents, Nachman Libovuk and Twobst Benovna Abramovich, were Belarusian Jews. They lived in Belarus and, after the revolution, moved to Taurag, Lithuania, with the Lithuanian spelling of the family name being Abramovich. In 1940, the Soviet Union annexed Lithuania. Just before the Nazi German invasion of the USSR, the Soviets cleared the anti-Soviet, criminal, and socially dangerous element with whole families being sent to Siberia. Abramovich's grandparents were separated when deported. The father, mother, and children Leib, Abram and Aaron were in different cars. Many of the deportees died in the camps. Among them was the grandfather of Abramovich. Nachman Libovuk died in 1942 in the NKVD camp in the settlement of Rashidi, Krasnoyarsk territory. Having lost both parents before the age of 4, Abramovich was raised by relatives and spent much of his youth in the Komi Republic in northern Russia. Abramovich is the chairman of the Federation of Jewish Communities of Russia, and a trustee of the Moscow Jewish Museum. Abramovich decided to establish a forest of some 25,000 new and rehabilitated trees, in memory of Lithuania's Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, plus a virtual memorial and tribute to Lithuanian Jewry, enabling people from all over the world to commemorate their ancestors' personal stories by naming a tree and including their name in the memorial. Career. Business career. Abramovich entered the business world during his army service. He first worked as a street trader, and then as a mechanic at a local factory. Abramovich attended the Gubkin Institute of Oil and Gas in Moscow, then traded commodities for the Swiss trading firm Runicom. In 1988, as perestroika created opportunities for privatization in the Soviet Union, Abramovich gained a chance to legitimize his old business. He and his first wife, Olga, set up a company making dolls. Within a few years his wealth spread from oil conglomerates to pig farms. He has traded in timber, sugar, foodstuffs and other products. In 1992, he was arrested and sent to prison in a case of theft of government property. Friendship with Boris Berezovsky. Acquisition of Subneft, loans for shares, and aluminium wars. Relationship with Boris Berezovsky and Bodry Patarkatsishvili. Evidence in the case. Investments in technology. Football. Chelsea Football Club. CSKA Moscow. Russian national team. National Academy of Football. Political career. In 1999, Abramovich was elected to the State Duma as the representative for the Chukotka Autonomous Okrug, an impoverished region in the Russian Far East. He started the charity Pole of Hope to help the people of Chukotka, especially children, and in December 2000, was elected governor of Chukotka, replacing Alexander Nazarov. Abramovich was the governor of Chukotka from 2000 to 2008. It is believed that he invested over $1.3 billion in the region. During his tenure, living standards improved, schools and housing were restored and new investors were drawn to the region. Abramovich was awarded the Order of Honor for his huge contribution to the economic development of the autonomous district, by a decree signed by the President of Russia. In early July 2008, it was announced that President Dmitry Medvedev had accepted Abramovich's request to resign as governor of Chukotka, although his various charitable activities in the region would continue. In the period 2000-2006, the average salaries in Chukotka increased from about $165 per month in 2000 to $826 per month in 2006. Informal Ukraine diplomacy. Relationship with Russian leaders. Boris Yeltsin. Vladimir Putin. Sanctions. Alleged poisoning. Controversies. Boris Berezovsky allegations. In 2011, Boris Berezovsky brought a civil case against Abramovich, called Berezovsky v. Abramovich, in the High Court of Justice in London, but Berezovsky was unsuccessful in the case. These events are described in greater detail above. Bribery. In 2008, The Times reported that court papers showed Abramovich admitting that he paid billions of dollars for political favors and protection fees for shares of Russia's oil and aluminium assets. Allegations of loan fraud. An allegation emerging from a Swiss investigation links Roman Abramovich, through a former company, and numerous other Russian politicians, industrialists, and bankers to using a $4.8 billion loan from the IMF as personal slush fund. An audit sponsored by the IMF itself determined that all of the IMF funds had been used appropriately. In January 2005, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development indicated that it would be suing Abramovich over a £9 million loan. The EBRD said that it is owed $17.5 million by Runicom, a Switzerland-based oil trading business which had been controlled by Abramovich and Eugene Schvidler. Abramovich's spokesman indicated that the loan had previously been repaid. Antitrust law violation in Russia. Russia's antitrust body, the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, claimed that Evraz Holding, owned in part by Abramovich, had breached Russian competition law by offering unfavorable terms for contractors and discriminating against domestic consumers for coking coal, a key material used in steel production. Dispute with Kolomoiskyi. According to Putin, Abramovich has been cheated by Ukrainian Cypriot Israeli oligarch Igor Kolomoiskyi. Putin claimed in 2014 that Kolomoiskyi had reneged on a contract with Abramovich, saying that the pair signed a multi-billion-dollar deal on which Kolomoiskyi never delivered. Pollution and climate change. According to The Guardian, in 2015 his $766 million stake in Evraz, the steel and mining company, gave him ownership of about a quarter of Russia's largest coal mine, the Raspaitskia coal complex in Siberia, whose reserves represented 1.5 gt of carbon emissions, comparable to the annual output of Russia itself. According to The Conversation, Roman Abramovich, who made most of his $19 billion fortune trading oil and gas, was the biggest polluter on our list of most polluting billionaires, estimating that he was responsible for at least 33,859 metric tons of CO2 emissions in 2018, more than two-thirds from his yacht. Funding of Israeli settlements. An investigation by BBC News Arabic has found that Abramovich controls companies that have donated $100 million to an Israeli settler organization Elad, which aims to strengthen the Jewish connection to the annexed East Jerusalem, and renew the Jewish community in the city of David. Analysis of bank documents indicate Abramovich is the largest single donor to the organization. The bank documents, known as the FinCEN files, were leaked to BuzzFeed News, then shared with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and the BBC. Personal life. Marriages and children. Abramovich has been married and divorced 3 times. In December 1987, following a brief stint in the Soviet Army, he married Olga Yurevna Lysova. They divorced in 1990. In October 1991, he married a former Russian Aeroflot stewardess, Irina Malandina. They have 5 children: Ilya, Irina, Sofia, Arkady and Anna. His eldest daughter Anna is a graduate of Columbia University and lives in New York City, and his daughter Sofia is a professional equestrian who lives in London after graduating from Royal Holloway, University of London. On October 15, 2006, the News of the World reported that Irina had hired 2 top UK divorce lawyers, following reports of Abramovich's close relationship with the then 25-year-old Dasha Zhukova, daughter of a prominent Russian oligarch, Alexander Zhukov. The Abramoviches replied that neither had consulted attorneys at that point. However, they later divorced in Russia in March 2007, with a reported settlement of $300 million. Abramovich married Zhukova in 2008, and they have 2 children, a son, Aaron Alexander, and a daughter, Leah Lu. In August 2017, the couple announced that they would separate, and their divorce was finalized in 2018. Citizenships and residency. In May 2018, Abramovich became an Israeli citizen a month after the UK delayed renewing his visa. Following the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal, British authorities delayed the renewal of his visa, as tensions rose between the UK and Russia. Abramovich had been travelling in and out of the UK for years on a Tier 1 investor visa, designed for wealthy foreigners who invest at least £2 million in Britain. Abramovich, who is Russian Jewish, exercised his right under Israel's law of return, which states that Jews from anywhere in the world can become citizens of Israel. As an Israeli, Abramovich can now visit Britain visa-free but is not permitted to work or conduct business transactions. Abramovich owns the Varsano Boutique Hotel in the Neve Tzedek neighborhood of Tel Aviv, Israel, which he bought for $100 million NIS in 2015 from Israeli actress and model Gal Gadot's husband Yaron Varsano and Varsano's brother Guy. In January 2020, Abramovich purchased a property in Herzliya Pichuah, Israel, for a record $226 million NIS. In 2015, Abramovich donated approximately $30 million to Tel Aviv University to establish an innovative center for nanoscience and nanotechnology, which aspires to become one of the leading facilities in the Middle East. Among Abramovich's other beneficiaries is the Sheba Medical Center in Tel HaShomer, Israel, to which he has donated in excess of $60 million for various advanced medicine ventures. These include the establishment of a new nuclear medicine center spanning 2,000 square m, the Sheba Cancer and Cancer Research Centers, the Pediatric Middle East Congenital Heart Center and the Sheba Heart Center. A donation that Abramovich made to Karen Kayemet Lay's Real Jewish National Fund for a comprehensive forest rehabilitation program in the southern Negev Desert, helps to combat the area's rising desertification and promotes increasing nature tourism to the area. Alongside his philanthropic activity, Abramovich has invested some $120 million in 20 Israeli start-ups ranging from medicine and renewable energy, to social media. Recently, due to the alarming increase in COVID-19 cases in Israel, Abramovich gave Sheba Hospital another donation for a new subterranean intensive care unit, spanning 5,400 square m, to provide Israel with vital crisis response in times of national emergencies. Abramovich continuously contributes to Jewish art and culture initiatives, such as the M.Art Contemporary Culture Festival in Tel Aviv, Israel. Abramovich filed an application for a residence permit in the canton of Valais in July 2016, a tax-friendly home to successful businessmen, and planned to transfer his tax residency to the Swiss municipality. Valais authorities readily agreed to the request and transferred the application to the Swiss State Secretariat for Migration for approval. Once there, Fedpol investigators expressed suspicions and opposed the request. As a result, Abramovich withdrew his application in June 2017. After a 3-year legal saga, in 2021 Swiss authorities cleared Abramovich of any suspicion. In April 2021, Abramovich became a Portuguese citizen as part of the country's Nationality Act. His genealogy was vetted by experts who look for evidence of interest in Sephardic culture. Though Reuters noted that there is little known history of Sephardi Jews in Russia, Abramovich had donated money to projects honoring the legacy of Portuguese Sephardic Jews in Hamburg, Germany. However, on March 11, 2022, the leader of the Jewish community in Porto, Rabbi Daniel Litvak, was arrested by Portuguese police at Porto Airport amid allegations that certification of Sephardi Jewish origin had been issued corruptly in several cases. Wealth. According to Forbes, as of March 2016, Abramovich had a net worth of $7.6 billion, ranking him as the 155th richest person in the world. Prior to the 2008 financial crisis, he was considered to be the second richest person living within the United Kingdom. Early in 2009, The Times estimated that due to the global economic crisis he had lost £3 billion from his £11.7 billion wealth. In the summer of 2020, Abramovich sold the gold miner Highland Gold to Vladislav Svyblov. On March 5, 2021, Forbes listed his net worth at $14.5 billion, ranking him 113 on the Billionaires 2020 Forbes list. Wealth rankings. Charitable donations. Opposition to anti-Semitism and hatred. Properties. Car collection. Yachts. Aircraft. Other interests and activities. Art. New Year's Eve celebrations. See also: List of Jews in sports. List of Russian billionaires. Russian oligarchs. List of people and organizations sanctioned during the Russo-Ukrainian War. List of Jews born in the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union. References.